up. Are you ready for the 2016 U.S. Open? Then let's get this show started, shall we? Let's do it. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want this night to start, you got to make some noise and get this place rolling for me right now. Come on! You ready to do this? Andy, we good? Ladies and gentlemen, this is the moment you've all been waiting for, the 2016 U.S. Open of Table Tennis. Our first contestant for the championship. At 25 years of age, she's ranked 114 in the world. Representing Japan, give it up for Saki Tashiro! And today, the competitor she will be facing, at 16 years of age, she's ranked 95 in the world, representing Puerto Rico, Adriana Diaz! These two women have battled it out for the last week, so make sure you see the best championship you can possibly imagine. They've got 3 minutes to warm up, and our officials today, our umpire will be Saul Weinstein, and he will be assisted by the lovely Verna Edwards. I want you to keep the energy up, make sure you got your drinks, and get ready, because the show is about to begin. Make some noise. It's time to start the championship.
beautiful punch, closing in at the right time, and this is one of her specialties, Neha.
That's exactly what I was waiting for. That backhand punch is so aggressive and so safe at the same time.
She's very consistent. We saw it in some crucial points in the quarterfinals to get her here, get her just into the semifinals. And a well-placed serve, half long. For those of you at home that are just getting into the sport, a half-long serve causes some confusion in the receiver. They can't tell if it's going to come. So it definitely causes some confusion in the receiver as if the serve will come off the table and they'll have a chance to steal the first attack, or if they're going to have to try and keep it short and play it early.
Beautiful angled wide on Adriana's backhand side from Tashiro.
This is the lobbing game. She's coming back in. Oh, but power to the short side. You could see the apology there. Not sure if it caught the edge of the racket, but Diaz right there leaves the ball just a little bit high, floats it up covering the middle. Now this is something we haven't talked about yet, but we'll see in both the women's and men's game, is attacking to the middle, the crossover point, so that someone gets off balance and leaves an opening to either side. Now with that flat hit, that punch shot, Adriana Diaz, we called it safe before. She's made it so consistently, an even safer shot in general, has a little bit more topspin to create a higher arc so that it comes down on the table as opposed to that flat trajectory backhand. And this time she does it. She steps around and spins the ball instead of going for the flatter shot and puts some pressure on Tashiro to tie it up at 4 points each. There's that side spin receive, the strawberry, Neha.
Yeah, that was so creative. It brings that angular side spin, suddenly changes the pace of the ball, and you know, it's kind of a surprise for Tashiro.
Absolutely. Consistency on the side in blue. Saki Tashiro getting everything back. Yeah, that side spin shot. Also, one thing I'd like to point out for the viewers just joining us, the tables, there's no slide, there's no slip. So the little bit of side spin really makes the ball kick here. It's top-notch equipment. Also, with the heavy topspin, the ball's going to jump forward, and a bit of backspin can help the ball bite the table and stay in near the net. Diaz with a serve to tie it up.
Oh, she tried that backhand punch but could not land, probably because the backhand opening from Tashiro was not as spinny as she expected to be.
Yeah, for one, and also when it's deep on the table, it's going to be a little bit tougher to have such a flat shot. Warning on the service.
7-5.
See where she's holding the ball. It's supposed to be presented in the palm of the hand. Not sure if that was the sign that was given. But regardless, Tashiro quickly refocusing. We talked about what can distract a player. Table tennis is such a mental game, psychological game. After a warning on a serve, it could really break somebody's concentration. Short side of the table's close, but you could see the frustration as Tashiro stomps the feet. But the supporters of Diaz here are quite thrilled to see it come back to within 2 points. Now, we talked about the coach for Tashiro. Adriana Diaz is with her father in the corner.
She's trying to bring a lot of different tactics in the game. She changed her serve, started off well, pinned the opponent deep on the forehand, but then could not convert.
Right, it's interesting. We don't see too many windshield wiper serves. Not in the game today. Beautiful shot there from Tashiro after a fast exchange to earn her 4 game points. Look at this from a bird's eye view. Backhand to backhand, more common in the women's game, but as soon as Tashiro opens up the forehand, she's so comfortable to play the corners quickly. And now she has the serve with her 4 game points. Fast long serve, but not yet. Adriana Diaz is right there with the response and a step around forehand to save game point. Here's a nice side angle view for a moment, just to tease you and give you a taste of what it looks like for the spectators here.
Packed house we have here.
That's right. Soft and spinny. This is confident play, to not go bold, to just be comfortable, almost waiting to see if Tashiro will make the first move so she can punch it back and find an opening.
Exactly, and it's so nice to see that mental maturity from Adriana's side to keep the ball going on the table.
Looks like we're going to have a pendulum serve here. 2 game points left for Tashiro.
Oh, a net call.
And finally, they're testing each other to see who's going to turn the corner. And it's Tashiro to take game 2, 11-8. So now here's a little quick view of what happened during the week here in Las Vegas at the US Open.
Las Vegas is the perfect city to host the 2016 US Open of table tennis, and it clearly shows as it's attracted over 800 athletes from over 40 different countries from around the world, with players ranging from as young as 5 years old to as experienced as 96 years old. The whole spectrum of age is covered here in the competition. Men's and women's prize money is equally spread, and this is the largest tournament in the Western Hemisphere by entries. There are 94 different titles up for grabs, as 94 events will be played at this championships, and you can see the variety in players' styles, from fashion to the game and everything in between. All the fun has unfolded as we come into the final day of play. It's time for cheers, celebration, and all the hard work will pay off with the men's and women's singles finals.
So we're back. Players coming back to the table after a minute with their coaches. Told you a little bit about Adriana Diaz. Her father was on the national team in 1995. Told you that her mother played a tournament while very deep in pregnancy, and her grandma started the club that the family still uses today. So the table tennis family, they've got 4 daughters. Adriana is one of 4 sisters to be playing table tennis. Quite impressive, Neha.
And she also represented Puerto Rico in the recently concluded 2016 Rio Olympic Games.
What an exciting honor at 16.
Yeah, and she was also recently, she gave a TEDx talk on importance of family, because as Adam told all of us, that her whole family is involved in bringing her to what she is today.
Yeah, there's no question about the family factor here. So many different things, but having a strong support system in such an emotionally challenging career. I mean, I've seen, especially at the US Open, we've got 146 tables, we've got so many different events. I think over 800 players participated. You'll see kids that are 8 years old screaming and showing and battling each other. And some kid with a drastic lead is going to have a parent screaming and cheering and a coach screaming and cheering. Just a lot of people to not let down. It's a lot of pressure at such a young age.
Yeah, and you know, to play professional sport, you need that support system from your federation, from your government, from the family, and that really helps you to take off all the other distractions and focus only on your game.
Well, here we have Adriana Diaz to start off game 3. And a big forehand right into the body, the crossover point for the first point. Now, as far as the sports psychology, we talked about different mantras that players have, different rituals. Before each game, it's traditional in Japan to give onegai shimasu to the crowd, the assistant umpire, the coach. So you'll often see 4 little bows before each game. Well-placed serve, dangling it just at the back edge of the table for Adriana Diaz to try and get the opening attack with, but not a comfortable shot.
For Adriana Diaz, she's down by 2 games. I think big psychological pressure on her. The US Open final, she's playing favorites to win, probably with some amazing victories in the past.
Yeah, it's tough to say. You know, we've seen at the US Open some big upsets from underrated players. Japan definitely has a deep lineup. Even from behind the table, a little bit of fishing. Heavy spin, she's so comfortable. Adriana Diaz has incredible touch. I had a chance to play her sister in an event, and then after that played Adriana a little bit. She hit a roller around the net, didn't even smile, like it was just, you know, something usual. But a little bit more into the elbow on that forehand. What are you thinking, Neha?
It seems to be Tashiro is so quick on, you know, the contact is so quick, and that is what is causing problems to Adriana at the moment.
Right, when we talk about the women's game versus the men's game, we see a lot more backhand to backhand play because it's a shorter stroke It can be made faster. You don't have to cover as much ground. But that step around right there, as we talk about it, is a bold move, especially with Adriana Diaz's punch game down the line.
And that was her strawberry receiving that she did.
Right. The banana flip spins the other way. The strawberry is the one that Adriana Diaz is doing. We got a chop block out there. Adriana Diaz and Ma Long together. Look at this. The block there. Punching in. The chop block adds a little bit of side spin on it and is working Tashiro around the table, giving Tashiro a taste of her own medicine. And the deep push floats a little bit, not as heavy as Tashiro thought. She overlifts, and you can see the pressure starting to build. Watching the faces of the players is always so interesting.
Yeah, and in the previous games we were talking that how both the players do not emote too much. But here we can see that pressure building on.
Right, I wouldn't be surprised if there's some vocalization a little bit deeper in the match. Even some of the quietest players, Bob Chen, we saw yesterday getting quite fired up. You'll get to see after this match.
Left, 3-7.
Well, look at this. After taking the first two games quite dominantly, Tashiro now in trouble, down 3-7. Adriana Diaz creating a bit of a comeback here. Wow, but that's an answer. My goodness, how much power can you generate with a backhand off that?
Ripping at the board.
Smooth stroke, really just timing it like a whip. And by timing it like a whip, I mean hitting it like a whip with perfect timing, of course. Whips don't have timing, you know, so much, you would say. Look at this, a 5-point lead for the 16-year-old. Adriana Diaz off balance with a slap shot. Just a beauty, and again, not even a smile, not a smirk. No problem, both feet were in the air when she hit that, Neha.
So focused, seems like she just knew the ball is gonna be there.
And finally one gets past her, even a little bit behind the table. Smart placement from Tashiro. And there it is, Adriana Diaz, 11-5, and we've got Puerto Rican fans on their feet. The crowd is getting ready for a show. It could go the distance. Stay right here and check out some excitement from the tournament.
The 2016 U.S. Open has a para-tournament with 145 different para-athletes from 30 different countries in 11 different classes. Classes 1 through 5 are for seated players, classes 6 through 10 for standing players, and class 11 for players with mental disability. PTT is part of the Paralympics. World Championships happen every 4 years. With the growth and popularity of table tennis around the planet, the 2016 U.S. Open is the perfect example of the growth of the sport around the world.
So as we get ready for game 4, Adriana Diaz getting her first game, again losing the first one 11-5 and then 11-8, and coming back to win 11-5 herself. Talk about turning the tables. Now just to let you know who these players beat to get to where they are now, let's start with Tashiro. Saki Tashiro in her first match won 4-0 over Wang Shuang. The next round beat Wang Ying 4-0, and then finally dropped her first game to fellow compatriot from Japan, Yuki Matsumoto. It was a 4-1 victory. Adriana Diaz on the other side played Takako Nagao from Japan, a 4-1 victory. Then Yui Odono, that was the spectacular quarterfinal match that went to game 7, 11-9 in the 7th. And then yesterday beat Yume Takahashi 4-1 and is now here with some confidence. So let's see if this momentum carries through for the Puerto Rican player, Neha. A chop block this time is not quite as effective as the point before. This is the creativity. She mixes it up. Who does that? How many times do you see a chop block in the women's game?
Absolutely. Created well, though, but then couldn't really convert it.
Oh, right off the bounce, taking advantage of the angle. We knew it coming in that this is one of the Tashiro specialties. A dish served cold out here. So difficult to take it that early off the bounce, especially on a spinny deep shot. Had a chance, had her squatting down. It can be quite disorienting to come back up, and you can see on the face of Adriana Diaz that she knew the opportunity was really there for her for the taking.
To me, I think Tashiro is so close to the table and so quick. Adriana is really, she's working her brain that how do I break this?
Right, I think service variation, depths on the table. You know, we said yesterday probably about 80% of serves are half long. Something that's questionable for the receiver, but deep into the body on the backhand side sometimes, right at the baseline, can be effective to back up the opponent. Look at that backhand. It's the signature punch shot, just closing down on it. Such confidence from Adriana Diaz. The step around, it's exactly as we described. Look at her body. The way she leans forward and comes down on top of the ball. That's her first point this game. And at the first towel break of the game, coming up every 6 points, it's a strong lead for Saki Tashiro. What do you think she needs to do, Adriana Diaz?
I believe she needs to be more stable. You know, there were too many unforced errors that she made in this game, and that made a lot of difference. 1-5. Stay more stable, try to be more safe and control, and finding the right opportunity to make that aggressive attack that she wants to do. That's her favorite. She really needs to choose the right balls.
There's that half-long serve, as half-long as it can be right at the back edge, and Tashiro not quite sure what to do with it. Now, shot selection is something that I think is crucial to table tennis players. In practice, you can hit as many balls in a row as you want, as hard as you want, but in a match, you have to know when to go for it. Finally, a point for Tashiro to break the comeback. It was 3 in a row for Adriana Diaz from down 1-5. Still, this is quite a game. We've seen comebacks before from Adriana Diaz. Again, you never know what you're going to get with her.
Oh, yeah. That mental maturity.
Wow, a crushing forehand, the step around, so quick to turn. Let's see if we can see this again. Didn't move until the ball was contacted, not planning it, not even anticipating it. Just keeping her body balanced, light on the feet, and recognizing it right after the contact. Softer spinny ball to the forehand side. Look at this, it's tied up at 6 points each. 5 out of the last 6 points have gone to Adriana Diaz.
Now that backhand was so deceptive, it seemed like it had no spin, but I believe, the way it just slipped down from Tashiro's racket.
So to me, it seemed like it had a lot of spin and that there was less on it than Tashiro thought, which is why it went down, right?
Right, Adam.
But very deceptive indeed, Neha. So Tashiro stepping back into the lead. Still, this game is up for grabs. It's anybody's here. Don't forget, if you're watching us on Facebook Live, you can send in your queries and questions. I thought that clipped the top of the net, to be honest, but it was a fast serve either way. What are you thinking, Neha?
Yeah, she's trying a lot of different things, and as I said before, probably she needs to contain that and be more safer, get more balls on the table, and then, the right shot selection, I feel.
Oh, I think that's the side of the table. Oh, they gave it to Diaz. Honestly, I thought she was outside the table. I think she's saying it was down. Look at this sportsmanship. Yeah. Adriana Diaz says the ball's going down. Ooh, this is interesting. It's easy to root for Adriana Diaz. I'm a little surprised, though. She even pointed down. The umpire said play. Decision was made. combination. The chop block again. From this angle, it looks like it floats, but it's right at the baseline, and then the punch down the line. You have to wonder if Tashiro's thinking about that call, the ball that appeared to hit the outside of the table, even Adriana Diaz thought.
I think she did. See, now the timeout that was probably called from her coach was to, you know, maintain her calm and composure and bring her back into the game that, hey, that's fine. Don't think about what happened. Let's focus on the next point.
Right, this is what the sports psychology really comes down to. It's so easy to get distracted when a call goes against you, when someone warns you for your serve. I mean, this is the second situation where Saki Tashiro has had potential distractors, so I think that's a great call by her coach, Satoko Kishida, to just make sure that her player's in the perfect headspace. And there's Adriana Diaz with her father, Vladimir Diaz, who's taken care of many, many table tennis players. He's got 4 daughters playing table tennis, but watch the way he talks to her. He's talking about the chop block there, the backhand spin shot. We've talked about the different beauties of table tennis for the last several days, but the variety of spin and there's so many different factors, right? The trajectory of the ball, the depth on the table, the misleading, the after motion, depending on where the ball is when you take the shot. I mean, serve and receive we could talk about for days, but Adriana Diaz seems to be able to do almost everything.
To me right now, the game is so psychological. Both the players have found what is the weakness of the other, of their opponent, and it's more psychological. The one who really keeps her nerves strong is gonna, get those points away. So it's gonna be pretty interesting the next couple of points.
Beautiful receive and bold. A little surprised to see Tashiro start the turn so early. Let's look at this one more time. Adriana Diaz saw the opening, and she's got that punch shot. I think at this point in the match, Tashiro needs to know that. I think she might have thought her serve was a little bit lower and was going to be pushed back. What a combination, the punch, the chop block, and a punch once again. A fiery young player out here comes back from way down. 1-5 in the start of this game. There's the soft chop block, explodes, and she was turning to get ready for the forehand, which wasn't even needed. 2 game points for Puerto Rico's Adriana Diaz. Shot the backhand, once again just crushing the ball to take it. 11 points to 8. Adriana Diaz simply in fuego right now. You want to learn how to play like her? Get some tips from a pro with Lily right after this highlight.
Hi, it's 2016 Olympian Lily Zhang, and I'm here to demonstrate how to play short ball and step around to forehand. So first you want to take your stance, and for the short ball, you step in with your right foot, you hit the ball right off the bounce, you step back, you pivot, and you play a forehand stroke.
For more information, please visit USATT.
So now that you've learned from Lily, one of the greatest in U.S. table tennis in the modern game, you've got a lot to practice, and I'm sure you're being inspired watching Adriana Diaz coming back right now against Saki Tashiro. It's going to be a tight match right now. Look at this, from down 0-2, Adriana Diaz right back and dead even with her opponent. Beautiful forehand playing the middle, and she's so misleading with that turn. She opens the shoulders first, giving Tashiro a reason to believe it's coming down the line to the forehand side, and quickly plays it back into the body.
Interesting, we saw just Lily Zhang demonstrating the step around forehand, and that's what Adriana did.
Maybe her dad was showing her the video on break. Adriana, sweetheart, please watch this video of
That's
Lily.
what you need to do.
Adriana seems to be figuring something out regardless. Has really just changed the game here, even in the fishing points. Keeps it deep and low. almost the bread and butter sometimes gets dropped off the table. She's made such a high percentage of some very low percentage shots. And they're not easy to hit flat. We talked about how spin helps.
That was a brilliant serve from Tashiro. Totally caught Adriana off guard. She was probably expecting a short one, but came out of long.
Yes, and this is the strong use of a long serve to catch the opponent off guard. Earn yourself an easier third ball. Now you have to start to wonder, when the shot that's been working so well for you, you miss a few in a row, at a certain point you start to get a little hesitant or feel like trying something else. We've seen a lot of big step around forehands and spinny opening forehands from Diaz. Look at this angle right on the white of the line out to the forehand. And even Tashiro, you can see that look of exhaustion for a moment. It's credit to her opponent for such placement.
Absolutely. Adriana Diaz playing her signature strategy. Keep pinning the opponent deep, wide to the backhand, and then find the opportunity, places wide to the forehand.
What a shot block, this time short on the table. Some underspin. Look at the face of Tashiro. She couldn't believe it. There it is.
Where does this come from?
And we talked about how the side spin and backspin, really just the grit of the table, it bites and it keeps it close and low. It's going to force Tashiro to move a lot. Power on both sides, but it's Adriana Diaz who takes it. It sounded like it hit the edge of the table to me. I think they're going to change that call. I said it was Adriana Diaz's because I saw the umpire, but the top of the net and the edge of the table, U.S. coach Bella Lipshin calls that double happiness, so it's tied up at 4 points each. Dead even in games and points. Tashiro quickly coming back to test the footwork of Adriana Diaz. I see you shaking it out. You getting chills, Neha?
Oh yeah, I mean, look at the crowd itself. All that thrill and pressure. I'm feeling it too.
It looked like it was over for sure, and Tashiro gets a racket on it. So much pressure on Adriana Diaz. The placement when she finally gets her to step around and then chases that next one. Far from the table, you know, she's not quite as tall as Adriana Diaz. Tashiro is going to have a lot of trouble covering ground from far. And it comes along a smooth criminal catch from Adriana Diaz after that chop block. I don't think I've ever seen a player, ever, use so many chop blocks in such a short amount of time.
And I haven't even seen her doing this in her previous matches, so probably she had it in her and she executed it. It's like a surprise.
I think that's a good word for it. And the element of surprise can be absolutely priceless out here. In all the matches that Tashiro has played on the World Tour, and I see her throughout the year on the World Tour, I'm pretty confident she very rarely faces such chop blocks. Little off the top of the net, the apology. It's one of two times you'll see an apology in table tennis, when it clips the net or the edge of the table to help you win the point.
It's so nice to see how the game has progressed. You know, we saw a lot of unforced errors and many short rallies, but now 2-2, we're in fifth game. There's so many long rallies and beautiful attacks by both the players.
And I still can't believe what a percentage. I mean, she had a few that she had missed, but Adriana Diaz leaning forward, really accelerating through the ball right down the line. Such a small margin for error. But one thing we can say about the young, they are fearless. Beautiful placement again, inside out forehand, changing up the placement. A bit of confusion, and Tashiro, after a confident and dominant start, is really starting to sweat both physically and mentally.
And she's making that change in her serve.
And it didn't seem to get her the third ball she wanted. Look at this frustration. When you serve from the backhand, you can see her with some self-coaching out there. You're stepping around, you're hoping to get, so she's got that long topspin serve from the backhand side, looking for a forehand attack, but never got the opportunity. And an 11-6 game, Adriana Diaz, 3 games in a row to take the lead. Want to know more about the topspin we're talking about? Let our several-time national champion, Tim, tell you how to do it right after this.
I'm U.S. Olympian Timothy Wang, and today I'm going to show you a forehand topspin. The most important thing in a forehand topspin is keeping your body low and transferring from your right leg to your left leg. And when you're looping your forehand, another important thing is to keep your hand up and use your forearm and wrist to create topspin. And also contact the ball on the top of the ball.
For more information, please visit usatt.org.
That is. usatt.org is where you can find all the information you need on how to get into the game, take your basement ping pong to competitive table tennis, show your friends a trick or two. I know we just went over the topspin and that. You'll see a lot of that here. And whoever attacks generally first tends to have the advantage in table tennis. But one time you will see someone use the backspin shot is if they know they can't attack and they want to keep their opponent from attacking. This is the short receive, the short game that we knew would be so important for both players. But they're getting into the rallies quite quickly, Neha.
Yeah, I think it's more to do with the serves because it's a women's game. They are varying the serves, like more of short and long. So we see a lot of initiation right from the beginning from both the players.
Well, let's see how Tashiro starts here. Let's service. It's been a little while since we've seen a backhand-to-backhand exchange that rattled Diaz. And maybe rattled is a strong term, simply a point that was won by Tashiro in the backhand-to-backhand exchange. Another deceptive serve. That shovel serve looked like it had more topspin on it. Adriana Diaz trying to stay close, keeps it down into the net.
Yeah, it looked like it had topspin, but had a lot of underspin, which kind of, you know.
Yeah, and sometimes even a serve that has straight side spin or just less topspin than it appears is enough to get someone to dump it into the net. Doesn't have to be heavy spin, just difficult to read.
Even small changes make a lot of difference.
That's right. Just a little bit back behind the table. Adriana Diaz, you can see her saying, I need to move in. So many advantages to being close to the table. While it's a higher pressure shot, you have less time to react. So does your opponent. You just give them less time, and you also have more opportunities for angles wider as you get closer to the table. Almost brings it back with the forehand.
We see a different Tashiro, Adam, in this game.
Yeah, talk more about that, Neha.
Yeah, she's kind of more calm and composed. She's again back to what she did in the first 2 games, staying close, staying more on top of the balls, giving Adriana less time.
And for me, we're seeing Tashiro definitely go for the backhand challenge, just trying to play a game of speed on top of the table. But this time, Adriana Diaz going bold and playing it out to the forehand. That's going to be to her advantage from the forehand side. Again, when it comes to speed, I favor Tashiro for the short, efficient strokes. When it comes to creativity, comes to touch, no question that it's the 16-year-old with the serve. Our first chop block in a while, and even though she goes deep out to the backhand side, manages to keep the pressure on deep on the table to take the points.
Credit to Tashiro. She attempted it right. The strategy was right. But sometimes it just doesn't go the way you want.
Right, making the right decision is something, we were talking about it yesterday. Even if you miss the shot, you can't get upset at yourself sometimes. You have to know that you made the right decision. It seemed for sure that Tashiro was in hot water here, just dead on this point. Absolutely. Incredible touch here, a side-swiping light chop from under the table, and it's blasted, but Diaz feels the pressure to take it to the short side right off the bounce. That's a fearless shot attempt from Diaz. I'm sure we'll see that in the highlights later. But again, a floating push. Not such heavy rotation from Diaz. We've seen it just on a few occasions where Tashiro was overlifted on that backhand loop. A 1-point game now. Diaz just down by 1. Oh, Fortune. Gonna see an apology here. Top of the net and it drops over. Diaz says sorry about that, but it's part of the game. We've seen table tennis karma throughout the tournament. It might come back.
And now psychologically, you know, I mean, I feel for Tashiro. She had that service warning and that the controversial point, and then this neck cord at a very crucial stage.
Not sure what that sound was. It sounded like somebody in the crowd calling something before the point was over. Regardless, it's Tashiro trying to make a case here, trying to get to Game 7, the decider, to take the title. Backhand to backhand, Diaz's backhand.
She tells herself, that's a fine, that's okay, just keep focusing on, keep going on. And that's what probably she needs at this moment.
We talked about how in the women's game it's more typically backhand to backhand, but in that battle, as we also mentioned, playing to the elbow of the arm that's holding the racket, the middle, the crossover point, to get your opponent out of position. And this has worked effectively throughout the tournament for Adriana Diaz. The strawberry comes back and sits up just a little bit high. That side spin backhand receive that we've more recently coined after internet users, the strawberry. So first point out of the second towel break. Tashiro with her second serve now. Beautiful play. Like a clock, just back and forth. So fast in the backhand to backhand exchange. And she can turn so quickly. Look how little was going on with the shoulders. That was the perfect view to see that Adriana Diaz not giving any hints, not telegraphing where she's going to go with that ball.
That was signature Adriana Diaz.
And refusing to get into the lobbing game, stays aggressive on the forehand. The counter loops Adriana Diaz by just 1 point back into the lead. If she takes this game, she takes the title at 15 years old over the experienced 25-year-old Japanese player. Chop block again. You know, there were two nets here, back and forth. Each player recovered a net, and then there was an edge of the racket shot from Tashiro.
And Adriana made a lot of different variations, that chop on the forehand, backhand, and then a smash from the backhand, but Tashiro really managed it out really well. Buying some time, probably.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if umpire Saul Weinstein calls her back to the table next time something like that happens. So much power again, right on top of the table. You were going to say, Neha?
Yeah, that's what we spoke about. The elbow that was perfectly placed on Tashiro's elbow, and she kind of, it was hard for her to shovel her feet quickly and move and you know, get the contact.
So much weaker backhand to give the opportunity to Diaz. Strawberry hasn't been working out too well the last two tries. And it's not that it's a bad shot, it just seems that in the receive game, Diaz is now reading the spin perfectly, so it's sitting up a little bit higher. Again, we talked about I guess you had mentioned unforced errors. We have to give credit to the server. Saki Tashiro has made it very difficult for the receives, but two serves here for Adriana Diaz. Chop block in both corners. Look at this. Adriana Diaz, the 16-year-old, the pride of Puerto Rico, has earned herself championship points. And what a way to do it. Punches from corner to corner. Again, she is feeding Tashiro exactly the strategy that Tashiro has used to dominate everybody else this tournament, Neha. The counterattack goes long. Tashiro fights to see at least 2 more points in this match. And the fist pump, we're starting to see some vocalization. We talked about how calm these players are, but as the pressure builds, the intensity and the passion goes with it.
Cannot expect at any moment who's gonna make it.
And then there's a devastating, humiliating receive. Absolutely owning the server here. Diaz like nothing, just rolling over the ball to the open forehand court. We've seen it throughout the match here and there, but this is the second championship point for Adriana Diaz.
Adriana Diaz, world rank number 95, has taken the U.S. Open 4 games to 2 after losing the first 2 to Japan's Saki Tashiro. And what a show the young player has put on for the sellout crowd here live in Las Vegas, Neha.
Trailing 0-2 and then getting the game 4-2. Amazing, brilliant display from Adriana Diaz from Puerto Rico. And here's a replay of the final shot. The lobbing game from and the fist pump from Adriana Diaz making it.
That was such an exciting match, Neha. I can't believe that Adriana Diaz once again came back from down 2 games to 0 to pull out such an incredible performance, especially on the big stage in front of the sellout crowd.
And just at 16 years of age, winning the prestigious US Open. What an accomplishment from this wonderful woman from Puerto Rico.
You know, she took the bronze medal in the Pan Am Games in 2015, and she's adding this title to the resume. I wouldn't be surprised if on the international scene we see a whole lot more of Adriana Diaz to come.
Absolutely.
That's right, we've got one more exciting match coming up. Just after this, there's going to be a little break, and we're going to get into the men's singles final with the Chinese chopper. It's Wang Wei versus Bob Chen from Northern California from ICC. It should be a spectacular match. It'll be a rematch from just a few weeks ago.
The men's finals will begin in just a few minutes. Before we do,
I would like to bring onto the stage our first runner-up and our finalists. Please give a warm round of applause for a great effort from Saki Tashiro. And here to present the medal from Paddle Palace, we have Ryan Horfrost over here for our finalist, Saki. Thank you so much, Saki. Amazing job. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your US Open champion. Please give a warm round of applause for Adriana Diaz. Can you carry this trophy, Adriana? Let's find out. Okay. Now, if we want to, you can put this down. I want to talk to you for a minute. The crowd wants to know some things. Now, I got to see you play in the quarterfinals yesterday. It was a very explosive match. How has this journey through the U.S. Open been for you?
I think I have played too many matches and I'm a little tired, but in the final I'll try to do my best and just thinking, and I think that I can beat that I can win. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, what was your strategy going into the match? And did you have to make any adjustments during the match?
Yeah, I think my backhand. I think I smash good with my backhand, so I start like to playing more confident with myself and doing some change.
So what was the turning point? How did you get that confidence going for you in the middle of that match when you were already down?
Well, I just think that do your best, and it's your last match, and I don't know.
Just leave it on the court. That's all you can do. Okay, now I want to know, Adriana, you got a lot of fans out there, you got a lot of friends, and you got some family in Puerto Rico as well. Is there anything you want to say to all of them?
Yeah, thank you for your support, and I'm so happy that I won this, and I think I finished my year very, very good, and this is a dream come true.
Yeah, it is. Give it up one more time for Adriana Diaz, your U.S. Open champion. Thank you so much for everything. You can take your trophy, because I'm not taking it. That's yours right there. Ladies and gentlemen, the men's finals.
So what a performance it was. Adriana Diaz taking it all the way back after losing the first two by a big margin. 11-5, 11-8, and taking the next 4 games straight. And you saw her there as cool as a cucumber. Adriana Diaz is a superstar in the making. I can't wait to see her more.
Find a club near you, visit usatt.org.
Coming up next, we've got the men's singles final. Unlike the women's singles final that you just saw, it's going to be the defender with short pips on the backhand, Wang Wei of China, versus USA's Bob Chen playing from ICC. This should be an exciting rematch from just a few weeks ago at the North American Team Championships, where Bob Chen took the victory 3-1. Neha, I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, now Wang Wei, the chopper from China, has short pimples on his backhand, and which makes a lot of different rotations in the ball.
Alrighty, you said it. Well, we've got an exciting moment for you to see how much the sport is improving with the youth of the nation coming together. Stay right here to enjoy. We spoke a little bit about the youth in the sport and the future of this sport. We have a new position, the Youth Ambassador, and we'll have a chance to hear from our very own first-time Youth Ambassador right now with our very own Ryan Willard in this special exclusive interview.
Hi, I'm Ryan Willard, and I am here with USA Table Tennis Youth Ambassador and Mega Mathlete, Stephanie Chen. How are you, Steph?
I'm good.
So I just heard that USATT and Supermicro just recently announced a new program called Pong for Kids. What is that?
Pong for Kids is basically a program that's providing grants to table tennis facilities that can't afford the table tennis equipment, such as balls, tables, or pickers, and Pong for Kids is providing a grant to them so that they can to sponsor these facilities so that they can develop more table tennis players that can attend these different competitions.
That's great. So it's basically getting table tennis to people that can't afford it. That's fantastic. So how does Pong for Kids fit into your role as a USATT Youth Ambassador?
As a youth ambassador, my job is to promote the sport to more people and to spread the importance of table tennis and its like good qualities. And Pond for Kids is allowing more table tennis players to have the opportunity to join competitions such as US Open and USA Table Tennis Nationals. And this ties in with my job as a US ambassador, as it's both promoting this sport to more people.
So as a youth ambassador, what goals do you have next year?
Next year, I hope to be able to host maybe perhaps a fundraiser tournament where you raise money and donate it to like facilities that would need it to buy equipment, or just like see a spread in the sport and see more people joining competitions.
In 2017, what are your goals as an athlete?
As an athlete, next year in a competition, I just hope that I will be able to play at my best potential, and even if I win or lose, I hope that I'll be able to play at my best and try my best.
Do you have any advice for the youth that's coming up in table tennis right now?
Table tennis is a very hard sport, and sometimes you can fail, but you should keep trying and have perseverance.
I think that wraps it up, but I just want to throw out one quick question and see what you can do with this. What is 58 times 79?
4,582.
That's unfortunately for me correct. Thank you very much, Steph, for your time. You're fantastic. It was great meeting you.
Wow. Stephanie is quite an impressive person all around, from table tennis to math skills. Not to mention, she really showed Ryan who's boss. And that is definitely Stephanie Chen. She recently won a silver medal here in Las Vegas while competing in the Memoriad, a mental calculation Olympiad, where she was one of over 150 competitors. She's also taken her skills and developed Maze, a mental abacus youth service club, where she teaches her skills to elementary school children. So a philanthropist, a brainiac, and an athlete, not a bad catch.
To find a club near you, visit usatt.org.
Hi, I'm US Olympian Timothy Wang, and you are watching USA Table Tennis.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the 2016 U.S. Open Table Tennis Championships, coming to you live from Las Vegas inside the SLS Hotel. We're getting into the men's singles final. It's the chopper Wang Wei from China versus the attacker Bob Chen from USA. Should be an exciting match. So Neha, these two have played before and quite recently. Can you tell us a little bit about their last results?
So both of them played each other at the North American Table Tennis Championship, which was played during the Thanksgiving weekend. And Bob Chen beat Wang Wei 3-1. It will be so exciting to see what happens tonight.
Absolutely. With Wang Wei, we've got so many balls coming back on the table. A defensive player tends to really frustrate the opponent. We'll see a lot of attackers try to finish the point before the opportunity is really there. Bob Chen, so impressive in his calmness. You can see right here he's only 22 years old, coming from Ulin, China, representing ICC India Community Center as a coach there nonetheless. A little bit about his body and the fact that he hits from both sides quite hard. Yesterday we had a chance to see him so fired up to get through Takuya Jin, the number 2 seed in the tournament. This was a huge performance and a real confidence booster. So these shots right off the bounce from Bob, he's really fighting so hard and balancing his calm and his cool with getting quite vocal as well and fired up. In his corner, Taolun Zhang, the 2014 U.S. Open champion, is going to be there to keep him pumped up. But on the other side of the table, his opponent, it's Wang Wei, the defensive specialist with short pips on the backhand side, 10 years the senior, 32 years old. He's from Zhengzhou, China, played for the Henan provincial team, and at 5'10", has quite some stature, which will really help him to not only cover side to side in the defensive game, but you can see how aggressive his attacks are anytime you watch him play. The modern defensive game, not only on the forehand side, but sometimes he even twiddles for a backhand loop, and with the short pips with the sponge, he can still hit the ball hard from the pimpled side of the racket. So a threat on both sides, near and far from the table. We're going to see some real tactical mental gymnastics along with some physical ones for the men's singles final. Don't forget, you can connect with us on social media. Check out USATT on Facebook, on Twitter. Everything's on screen for you. Make sure you send in those questions for us on Facebook Live. Anything you want to know, we've got an answer. And even if we don't know, we'll answer that because we're honest people. We love the sport. We want to help you love it as well. All right, so the crowd, we still have people on their feet here. Again, it's a sellout crowd. Neha, the SLS Hotel, a beautiful arena. Have you ever seen table tennis played like this before?
I mean, for me, this is the first time here in Las Vegas itself, and I believe this is a wonderful display of table tennis. You know, you bring in some thrill and some excitement, some entertainment factor as well in the game.
Yeah, this is what it's really all about. I mean, we've got the DJ cranking out some outstanding tunes right here. The energy is high. We've got seats filled. We've got standing room only on both sides of the arena. I mean, people ask, you know, I travel the world with table tennis, and people say, what's happening in the United States right now? Table tennis is happening. That is what is happening. I can't believe people couldn't get in here today. Just look at this. Everywhere you look, you've got fans here screaming, as you could see, for the Puerto Rican champion. Adriana Diaz, I still cannot get over. She was almost knocked out in the quarterfinals, comes all the way back and does this interview like she's talking to Ryan Willard in her living room in front of a sellout crowd. What a superstar, celebrity in the making.
That's the beauty of the sport of table tennis, you know. It's like those comebacks, these thrilling games, that's what keeps all the table tennis fans out here alive.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So this will be a very interesting rematch after only playing once before. Again, they're two strong players. And we're going to get a chance to see some of their play from that North American Team Championships. The last time they played just a few weeks ago. Here it is. It's Wang Wei in the black, the defender. Bob Chen, the attacker in blue, trying to play the middle there. Now you can see how important it is to be patient, but always looking for the opportunity to find the ball to go big on, and a fired up Bob Chen right there to take the match 3-1 in a best of 5, as it was a team's competition. But this match will be a best of 7, which, while of course the first game is quite important, stamina is going to be a factor. The timeouts are going to come at different times. There's a little bit more wiggle room for the game to really evolve.
Yeah, and especially for Bob Chen, I think it's a bit of a struggle because he needs to be extremely patient against the chopper. He's very light on his feet though, which, you know, adds that added advantage to his game. But having that patience in his attitude is gonna really make a big difference tonight.
We'll see if the zen-like calm of Bob Chen from ICC will make him the 2016 U.S. Open men's champion, or if we're going to have a defender standing atop the blocks carrying the trophy and on court for an interview afterwards.
Now I'm wondering, since both of the players, you know, they played against each other only 3 weeks back, they must have done some massive video analysis before this game to figure out what went right, what went wrong before the game, in the last game, and then have some, you know, new strategies for this game tonight.
Right, and we're going to see what it's going to take, really, for each player here to play their best game and have a chance to really take this title. In just a moment, we'll get into some of the specifics. Here you can see Wang Wei, again, using the short pips to vary the spin. That's one of the main things that short pips are good at. You have a little more control over the ball, so solid for attacking with the backhand, but also varying the spin on the chops, seizing the opportunity to use that vicious forehand attack. Again, it's the modern defensive game, a player who can finish the point with the forehand, and also in his serves. We've seen backhand serves that look like topspin that get dumped into the net by so many players throughout this tournament. Nehal, what about Bob Chen?
Absolutely. For Bob Chen, he needs to really focus on the middle point of Wang Wei. That's where, it's hard for a defender to suddenly shovel the feet and then make that swing. On the other hand, it's also the push which he gives back. If he can vary the depth of it, that means, make it shorter and longer, which will make Wang Wei difficult to, attack, because he will always go in for a shorter push and then he will aim to kill the ball, basically.
That's right. I think in the short game, we talk about how the first 2 shots of every rally are definitely the most important to really set the tone of the point and dictate how the point will go, or at least put you in control. For Bob Chen as the receiver of a defender's serve, you can sense when your opponent's about to turn the corner, but that surprise long push to different parts of the table will force Wang Wei to really be on the lookout and not turn too early. He could get punished or find himself out of position. It's interesting watching the players when they're testing the facility. You and I had the chance to see them warming up with their practice partners before any of this started. And it's so impressive, the touch that Wang Wei has. Even his practice partner, who's not out here in the final, looked like a world-class player with the round-the-net shots and exhibition-style points. Now also, as a long pips player, so we've got a short pips player here, but you have been a long pips player. For those of you who didn't know, Nehal was on the Indian national team for many years, played in the Beijing Olympics representing India. When you warm somebody up, did you turn the inverted rubber on your backhand?
Oh yeah, I never let them play against my long pips because I felt that they would, get a sense of how it feels to play against the long pips. So I would always twiddle my racket and play with the inverted rubber.
Right, so you're keeping your secret, making sure you get a few points off them, trying to figure it out. But you can also claim that you're just being nice and giving them a nice standard backhand warm-up.
Well, I would agree that I was just being clever and not letting them know what my secret weapon is.
Well, cleverness is definitely going to be a factor out here. Table tennis, you've got physical strength, you've got speed, you've got touch and creativity. But look at this, he's hitting with the short pip side of the racket. Wang Wei giving his opponent a chance to get used to those short pips attacks. Now with the sponge, the ball sinks in, it sits a little bit longer on the rubber, so this allows more control, which also helps the attack game. Ho Ying Chao, who is here, former Chinese national team member, used to be number 9 in the world, was defeated at the hands of Wang Wei, a similarly short-pipped sponge backhand defender.
And so, just to be specific, the rubber is Spectol on his backhand, and on the forehand side, he uses Hurricane.
Right, a traditional Chinese rubber that the ball, I guess, arcs up. You hit it with a little bit more of an open face. It's a little tackier, a little bit heavier. You can see a lot of the Chinese national team players playing with the black rubber on the forehand, usually a blue sponge. That's the Hurricane. And there are different types, obviously, Skyline, Neo.
To me, it's so interesting that with the same kind of a rubber, they're attacking and Wang Wei is chopping.
From time to time, you'll see him chop with it too, that's right. Well, let's see how it goes here. Bob Chen won last time. He's going to start off this best of 7 with the serve. That is a heavy, deep push, but a very bold opening attack attempt. When I talked to Bob Chen's coach, Tao Wen-jong, in the corner, and one of his friends about how he's playing better when he's pumped up, high energy. Unbelievable touch to leave it so short near the net. The ball's loaded with spin, and after 2 just absolutely devastating forehand attacks right into the body, still recovered. Look at how short this ball stays. Again, the new equipment, the grittiness of the table, the ball's going to bite. I think we will see a lot of counter loop rallies between these two. Again, it's the modern defense, so that forehand attack is very present.
Yeah, and in the modern defense, you don't see the defender going for long rallies of chops. They need to come in and go for the killer attack.
And the Tacky does a bit of side spin on it. The hooking forehand loop causes some trouble for Bob Chen. Yesterday I saw Bob Chen take some really impressive shots off of hooking counter loops right off the bounce. So I wouldn't be surprised to see it out here as well, but it's not an easy shot to do. Wow, what a shot. Turns the corner like nobody's business. Look at how quickly he gets around this ball. Bob Chen's got the touch. There's no fault here for Bob Chen. Leaves it as short as possible. One more time, but he's waiting there and quickly turns the corner. The full step and full arm swing to finish the point.
Look at the athleticism that they're displaying.
And we talked about that forehand attack. Even before the match, it's going to be a key factor for Wang Wei to really just be threatening and keep Bob Chen a bit uncomfortable. And we talked about how Bob Chen is so patient. He won 3-1 in their last encounter, playing patiently, spinning it up, touch shots as well. But this is really going to keep him a bit concerned. Edge of the racket, just mistimed.
Audience trying to catch the ball. It's one of those moments, you know, their moment to get the ball.
Yeah, be a part of the match. That's why being here live is quite exciting. Oh, went under the chairs. Bob Chen playing detective here to help out Dan Seemiller, several-time national champion. Recently released a book of his life, which is a fascinating life from playing in North Korea to all around the world. He has a grip named after him here in this country, the Seemiller grip, where you only use one side of the racket. Many call it the windshield wiper.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would love to read that book.
Well, I think you should. Danny Seemiller, check it out. So Wang Wei now with the backhand serve. Let's see if he gets another attack in. Goes into the defense, but earns the point with a traditionally heavy chop from the middle. Well placed. Now, as far as tactics go, it's always interesting. If you have the defender close to the table, it's to your advantage to play the attack quite aggressively while you know how much spin is on the ball. Again, once they've already gotten the ball back, chopped it once or twice, it's really heavy. You want to leave it back on the table, bring them in to start over. And while Bob Chen has demonstrated that a few times, the counterattacks of Wang Wei still just too much trouble hooking and bending into the body. Jason, I don't know if you can hear my cough, but when I turn off the mic, I still hear my cough. Patient play from Bob Chen. Again, staying in at the table. He's varying it quite well, the placements on the table. We talked about varying the depth in his pushes as well, and this is exactly what he's doing. He's controlling the short game here on several of the points that he's won. Now remember, there are 10 years between the two of these players. The 32-year-old from China right now, Wang Wei serving. Look at the kick on that ball. This is the Masato Shiono racket head up, sort of throw it back. And watch the bounce here when he hits it. Just a little bit of side spin and it bends out of reach. So much kick on that ball.
Now this is a classic game of, you know, youth versus experience. There's a gap of 10 years between both the players. I mean, I'm just thinking, does it make a big difference, you know, that experience versus the non-experience from the other side?
Well, we'll talk about experience in a moment here. Just a little bit too late to get in. Now, as far as youth versus experience, experience gives you the wisdom to avoid that shot, to create a point that you can play well, but youth gives you the legs to come in and get it before it's dropped. To be honest, I think the youngest player in here would have had trouble making that shot. That was such outstanding touch and soft hands from Bob Chen. If the question is, would I trade youth for experience? It's tough to say. I guess why not have them both, right? Get as much experience as you can young, keep your body healthy and fit. And that's really what it comes down to. I mean, Vladimir Samsonov at age 40 plays such an efficient game. He's still in the world top 10. You know, and other players, Timo Boll has played so well, but his game is so physically demanding that by the time he's 40, it's going to be tough for him to still play at the level that Samsonov does.
But Jorgen Persson, he won the bronze, or he believe the semifinals
That's right.
in the London Olympic Games.
Well, in Rio, he played
Rio.
the semifinal. So just this year, he played the best Olympics of his life. I'm sorry, not Jorgen Persson, Samsonov.
Yeah,
You're
I
right.
said Jorgen
Persson. I'm sorry, you're absolutely right.
So
Continue.
we see all these, experienced players coming back, and that's the beauty of the sport. I think it's athleticism, it's more of your technique, it's how psychologically strong you are. All these factors keep into play to make a complete player.
Right, and Jorgen Persson is another great example of someone who takes outstanding care of his body and is able to play at such a high level. Might have had a chance to see his exhibition with Timo Boll just earlier this year at the Men's World Cup. It's incredibly entertaining. But look at this, tied back up. Bob Chen coming all the way back to 8-8. And well played right on the middle of the body, forcing a crossover, a decision to be made in a very short amount of time from Wang Wei.
In the earlier stages of the game, in the first few points, I think Bob Chen was taking his own sweet time to get used to Wang Wei's chops and defensive play. Now he seems to be pretty comfortable with what he's offering.
So just after describing that patience and sort of settling into the game, we see Bob Chen. So just after all that patience, we see Bob Chen coming out a little bit rushed on that last ball, just mistiming it. Now again, he didn't look like he was going for anything too big, but sometimes a heavy backspin ball stays inside the baseline, stays over the table. And as we've said many times, the table's very gritty and the ball bites. So players are going to both have to move their feet quite actively for every shot. Well-placed ball deep out to the forehand side, and Bob Chen earns game point to take the first.
Wang Wei was pretty, he wanted to serve and step around, so he wasn't really expecting Bob Chen to make that receiving on Wang Wei's forehand.
Well, Wang Wei now with a second serve and a chance to save game point, tie it up. Chopped into the net and a fired up Bob Chen takes it 11 points to 9 to get this match started off in the favor of the American player. Bob Chen will be back for game 2 in just a minute.
Find a club near you, visit usatt.org.
And as we come back to the arena, Wang Wei trailed there after being way ahead in the early start of the game. Bob Chen made his way all the way back, and by the narrowest margin of just 2 points, wins game 1. Now, we told you a little bit about some of the victories of Wang Wei. He took out Ho Ying Chao, but before that, he took down Kenji Matsudaira, the top seed that everyone expected, the real celebrity here at the tournament, to take this title. Kenji Matsudaira, number 90 in the world. Him and his brother have both been quite famous in Japan as some spectacular players to watch. But Wang Wei giving you the show out here now, taking names everywhere he goes. So we'll see if Wang Wei can get things going the right way out here for game 2. He's going to start off with the serve. Again, the attacks early on in this match were so effective.
Deep push onto the backhand side. Probably that contact was a bit too early for Bob Chen.
Heavy underspin again. Now, if there's one thing that defenders know how to do, it's put heavy underspin on the ball, so the contact's so faint. Very flat, open racket. Right on the hip once again. Now, one thing also that's interesting about the modern defense game, we talk about how effective the attacks are and how more common it is, you see the attacks a lot more, but this really requires the defender to stay in closer to the table so that they can earn that attack and be in the right place for it. For example, ball left up just a little too high. I think Bob Chen thought there was more underspin on it. It would come off the racket lower. And this is why a floating chop, the control from the short pitch side, can be to your advantage. You contact it with a little bit more of an open face, and then you come running back in for the ball left high. Outstanding, a little bit of side spin on that last, a little bit of a tomahawk chop. Outstanding play on the defense, running all over the court. So many times it seems like Wang Wei would have physically been exhausted, but he was calm and right back in position, ready to cover the court.
Absolutely, and that's the strength of his game. Being a chopper, he needs to have that athleticism. He needs to keep moving around the table, and he needs to actually expect this kind of a gameplay from his opponent.
And so far, it seems like that's exactly what's happening. Now, we talked about service variation as well. We haven't seen many of the backhand serves just yet. He might be saving that for if he needs it. Again, with a dangerous forehand, the pendulum serve, serving from the forehand side of the racket, leaves the rest of the table for a forehand attack.
We saw that him doing in the semifinals many times.
That's right, that deceptive backhand serve and a flip now with the forehand. This creates some real danger for Bob Chen. If he has to worry about such short balls, even relatively low to the net, getting flipped, this is where seeing from the side angle view would be quite cool to really see how high the ball was when that flip happened. And that ball sits up just a little bit, but it's inside the table, creating an obstacle, and Bob Chen looking for the opportunity, can't get the point. It's 7-1 for Wang Wei. Now, you don't see backhand attacks too often against heavy underspin, especially when it's a chop later in the rally, but some coaches will advise it. You'll see the top players in the world doing it just to vary the trajectory, slower, spinnier ball.
Deep underspin, probably not the best anticipation from Bob Chen out here.
Well, it's interesting. We talked about the varying chops of Wang Wei. Bob Chen seemed, as you mentioned, so comfortable. By the end of game one, he was in control. But Wang Wei completely reinventing himself. 9 game points after a very tight game one. And even that one, it appears to sit up for a moment. But Bob Chen really struggling in game two. Look at the scoreboard there, it says it all. But either way, points aside, they both have 1 game. So stick around. Kunik Jha is going to teach you a little bit more about how you can become a pro.
Hi, I'm 2016 Olympian Kunik Jha, and today I'm going to demonstrate the forehand chop. The forehand chop is very useful to improve a player's feeling. And for offensive player, they can also use this shot when a player moves a slow and short spinny ball to their forehand, which they cannot counter.
For more information, please visit usatt.org.
So we're back for game 3. You just learned how to forehand chop with Kunik Jha. It's interesting to hear that from an all-out attacker, a two-wing looper, but it just goes to show you at this level of play, no matter what your style is, you can hit almost any shot in the game.
I agree, and perfect tip in this gameplay, especially because we are here, there's a chopper versus an attacker. And there you go, Bob Chen serving first in the third game.
Step around attack. Again, it's that devastating forehand of Wang Wei to take the point. Now, he's a big guy. If you look at the average height of players in China, I believe he's 5'10", which is significantly taller. Well, taller than your average player for sure. You know, Deng Yaping, the best female player of all time, 4'11". Ma Long, not especially tall. Liu Guoliang, even shorter. Oh, look at this defense. Manages to get the ball back on the table with a curving backhand. Fast footwork here. A kicking shot. Bob Chen so quick to run it down, and still another forehand, but he can't contact. It can be quite jarring to go that far to get back around for another forehand attack.
Covered the entire table from backhand, running deep to the forehand, and then coming back to his backhand court. Made a great effort.
Reminds me of Yu Sung Min in the 2004 Olympic gold medal match. Fastest feet I've ever seen in table tennis. Trying to spin it up patiently, but slightly less underspin than he thought he saw on the ball. Again, the variation on those chops. Bob Chen has struggled. Last game was 11 points to 1.
And I mean, that's the struggle with any chopper, you know. It's so hard to read if there's a heavy underspin or not. And that's a mark of a good attacker. If he can read those spins, easier to understand and then execute the right one.
Back edge of the table, no. Again, it sounded like it from here, but it seems that it didn't, just long. Now, you mentioned the variation in chops, and you and I both had a chance to look at the equipment of Wang Wei. Using that short pip rubber, he's going to have a little bit more control again in the more classic long pip chopping game like Ju Se-hyuk and many others before. There was a little bit less control, wasn't as easy to vary the spin.
Now Bob Chen was trying to go an inside out top spin out there. I think he's applying the right strategy, but then the ball was, I think, more underspin and was 1 second slower to react on it.
You know, we talk about decision making in table tennis. They've got all the physical skills to do it. It's a question of really knowing when to go risky. And right now, Bob Chen just is not having an easy time even getting into the rally. I don't know, we say good decision, you know, when the ball's higher if he's winning the points, but sometimes maybe slowing it down. It's tough to say. I mean, he's playing a world-class player, so it's easier to talk about, but when he leaves it on the table, Wang Wei's coming in to attack aggressively. He's retrieving well, he's fishing well, he's not making it easy for Bob Chen at all. Now the backhand receive, we saw it attempted earlier in the match and it didn't work out for Bob Chen, but here, a little bit more comfortable for him early in the rally than the forehands have been lately.
I think the one thing right now Bob Chen needs to focus on is being patient. You know, he's been throwing a lot of unforced errors out here, but it's all in the game. He needs to not kind of be in that zone and come back in the game.
No, I couldn't agree with you more. The patience is going to be a virtue out here for him, but he also didn't expect that ball to come back on the table. It's right at the baseline. It's good to stay close to the table, but you know, you watch a match like this, you think, wow, the defender using so much footwork, they must be exhausted, the defender. But the attacker has to move for every ball so much to be in just the right position. It takes so much lower body strength and even lower back strength to lift the ball against a chop when you're attacking. You know, I talked to you about how yesterday Bob Chen was able to take the ball off the bounce many times. Here, it's so deep on the table, even if he tries to take it a little bit later, he's been having trouble with it.
And I believe there's so much change in the spin with every ball that is coming to him. He needs to make those changes in his angle to get the balls back on the table.
Just missing the edge. So for me, the placement right now of Bob Chen, very precise. He spins a few on a little more safely. And then there it is, right into the right leg, trying to find the crossover point. And actually does. He gets Wang Wei a little bit out of position. And this is why that next deep to the backhand ball, you know, when you play to the middle and someone uses their backhand, then send them deep to the backhand court. The idea is clever. It seems like the right idea. The shots just aren't going in. Very curious to know what will be talked about with Tao Wen-Zhang. I think the receive game is so important right now. The serves of Wang Wei just really setting him up well. Ooh, burned. He goes for it. All chips in. We're in Las Vegas. He gambles big on this one. But this is what has to happen sometimes. You have to take these risks to try and finish the point. Bob Chen holds himself, is holding his footing there, keeps his composure, and blocks it right back. This is why you can't move too early. It's tough to reposition yourself when your body weight is already going in one direction. So still a long ways to go for Bob Chen. He's got the serves, and as deep as they come right at the baseline, this is how a long serve is done.
That was totally unexpected. Wang Wei was right there inside the table expecting a short one, but no.
Wang Wei going the wrong way. Bob Chen, very clever on the serve. And you use it sparingly. The long serve goes right back to the half long, in on the body and earns the points. And look at this, a 2-point game.
That's a great strategy. Serve short onto the forehand and then aggressive attack on the body.
Right, we see this a lot in the push game, short to the forehand, sometimes deep into the backhand. And as you mentioned, the body so effective at the top level of play to set up. It's an investment in hitting a winner on the next shot.
And to make the chopper, keep moving from back and forth the table will tire him as well.
That's right, in and out. The defender has to play on all planes, and we got a timeout here. Wang Wei trying to compose himself. I'm not sure if he looked to his coach for the timeout.
A good call, though.
Right, his coach is Li Jian, who is the practice partner. Quite impressive. I guess he's doing some private coaching in the United States. Recently here from China, as many of the coaches are. And I think this is a great thing for table tennis in the United States. China, the powerhouse of the sport. We've got both of these players here originally from China making their move here. In China, you could be on the national team. You could be this close to fame and celebrity, 20 feet from stardom, but never given the opportunity to be one of the big four, one of the famous players that we know that has A-list celebrity relationships. And then you're going to have to, it might be a big career move for you, but Feng Tianwei leaves China, goes to Japan for a few years, finds herself in Singapore, eventually becomes Athlete of the Year, wins a world championship for Singapore, and this is where her career exists.
Yeah, and talking about China, I say they are a factory of table tennis players, producing table tennis players, They identify players at a very young age, Kids age 6, 7, and 8 are put through various test batteries, testing their agility, their endurance, how fast they are, and putting them into the right sport so that body-wise they get into the right thing. So that's a totally different set of creating champions.
Right, the criteria is so high there. You had a chance to see, we were talking about the strength of the youth. In the front row there was Nikhil Kumar from ICC, 13 years old, and was a finalist in the under 2700s. There he is in the black sweatshirt with some other ICC players. His sister Nishi right there in the blue, the princess. Bob Chen really making a case for himself, and out of the timeout. This is an important point to take. What are you thinking, Neha?
What was that serve? I couldn't understand. Even, Wang Wei was confused.
Right, it looked like there might have been more side spin on it than usual. Typically you see a combination of spins, side with a little bit of top, a little bit of under.
Stood high.
The pressure, deep heavy push from in near the table, and Wang Wei out of the timeout now at the third towel break. Has 2 game points to take a 2-1 lead. Again, this is a best of 7 match, and if history repeats itself, it'll be Bob Chen who takes the title. That'll be one more US Open champion from ICC. And really, well, we'll talk about it more later. I think the viewers at home will have a chance to see a bit about what the youth is up to in the United States with USATT. The serve does it. Well-placed serve miscontacted in the receive game by Bob Chen, and it's 11-8 for Wang Wei. The timeout pays off. Check out a little clip we've got in a moment to see how the future is going to be shaped by our young table tennis players.
The 2016 US Open has been a very exciting tournament with players from all around the world and all ages. As young as 5 years old and as experienced as 96 years old, the whole spectrum is covered, but the youth is definitely on the rise. As we know, the youth is the future of the sport and the world, and you can see the growth by participation and much stronger athletes on the young side. Having the youngest Olympian for the U.S. team being a table tennis player, many young athletes have been inspired to invest in their future with private coaching and even homeschooling to focus on their table tennis. We now have a youth ambassador and all sorts of hope for the future, and it's all here with the youth at the 2016 U.S. Open.
So as we come back, we see some of the youth right there that is being invested in. Nikhil Kumar, I can't tell you how impressed I am with this game. I mean, this tournament is simply incredible. And there's one of the founders of ICC, Anil Godhwani, and his son, Aditya Adi, who's quite a character. Rajul Shet's son, Ved, right there. And the Alguetis right next to him from the East Coast. 3 brothers, the Algueti brothers, were so impressive in their game. The youth is much stronger than when I was their age. I think that's a really good sign for table tennis in the United States.
Yeah, and talking about ICC, located in California, in Milpitas, doing a brilliant job with, providing opportunities to that youth to have a great facility, come train 24, I don't know, is 24/7?
Well, I don't know if it's exactly 24. Might be a little bit overcompensation, a little of an exaggeration. Outstanding point! I can't believe so many of these came back. It looked like it was for sure going to be finished. Look at the ground that Wang Wei has to cover from this bird's eye view. Bob Chen blasts that touch shot right back in. The step around runs all the way around. It keeps it in play. And then once again, a forehand attack. How many times can they get the ball back on the table with so much spin and pressure, Neha?
This is getting so close and so thrilling. I'm sure the audience is feeling as what I am.
Now this is a bit of a surprise. A deep reverse pendulum serve with some topspin earns the third ball, a little high on the table, and Bob Chen not able to convert the point. I want to go back to a point you were making. ICC as a training facility is the way to go. I think clubs around the country should model their clubs quite similarly to produce such strong young players. But it's interesting to me because Bob Chen is a full-time coach at ICC. And this is true of our last 2 U.S. Open champions. Wang Jinxin last year, Tao Wenjiang before, they're all coaching. So they keep, I don't know how they keep on such sharp gameplay. I mean, coaches often slow down when they just do multi-ball and block and feed. They lose their competitive edge.
Probably a lot of hard work from all these coaches as well. As you mentioned, the body kind of slows down because you have to feed a lot of balls back on the table, as opposed to when you're actually competing, you need to be in the best of your shape, to be fast enough. So a lot of hard work probably they're putting in.
Now this is the second time that we've seen that opening backhand from Bob Chen work effectively. First towel break of the game, in case you're just joining us right now with this match. Towel break is once every 6 points so that players don't stall too much. Keeps the game exciting for viewers like you at home.
We're also live on Facebook. Keep sending us your questions and comments. Happy to address them.
Right, I know a lot of people ask, what's the deal with that hand wiping on the table? Why are they wiping their hand? They're wiping the sweat from their palm to make sure they have a clean grip. And why the placement near the net usually? Because it's less likely that the ball is going to bounce there. If you wet your side of the table, you're going to have to deal with a wet ball coming at your racket. So you don't want to have to worry about losing a point due to it slipping off the rubber. Again, players changing their rubber quite often to make sure that they have grip and traction to spin the ball, but no spin needed here. A crushing flat shot right near the net from Bob Chen. And it starts with the spin shot right in the middle. You could see the footwork. It's very difficult to get the legs out of the way for the chopper, which earns that high ball to crush.
And that flat, we don't see from the men's side. Of course, the women have been using it forever. A lot of women use flat, but men using that smash flat shot, it's more of a topspin that they play. So it's pretty interesting to see that coming.
I think it's a selectively used shot. Only when the ball's high enough and near the net will you see such a flat hit. There's some clear frustration out here. Wang Wei with his tongue out at the table. Down by just 1 with his second serve here. back edge for Bob Chen. That was a perfectly length serve. I mean, you saw the hesitation on the side of Bob Chen. This is what a half-long serve is all about, forcing the receiver to try and decide quickly if they want to attack or if they want to play a short push.
And to get a point, you know, just in a serve, it's like it feels very, very good, you know, internally that, I could get a point in a serve, and you have to struggle against a chopper.
Look at this power. That's that full stroke of the forehand. Again, Wang Wei is standing quite tall. And the defender, when he plays for the attack, is looking to finish the point. So he really gets the body in, the weight forward, just lunging in on the ball as it sits up a little bit. The body once again had nowhere to go. Wang Wei jammed up in the middle.
That's probably one spot Bob Chen needs to keep focusing again and again. Bring Wang Wei onto the short side of the table and then smash it hard back on his body, long and aggressive.
Right, very smart combination play. Now, something we haven't talked about that much is the fact that table tennis is a game of combinations, patterns, and patterns being broken all the time. Unpredictability factor, not just trying to hit a winner immediately, but trying to set yourself up with one.
That couples with shot selection, you know.
That's right. Now in a best-of-7 match, it feels like not too long ago that you might recall Bob Chen really struggling. Game 2 lost 11-1, couldn't find his touch and his rhythm against the varying backspins, the floating chops and the heavy chops from Wang Wei.
So you see a lot of different strategies in every game that, you know, the game is just like a roller coaster.
Right, it's constantly evolving, and this dance is your game. You know your strengths, but you have to see and deal with what your opponent is giving you right now, even if they're playing something that they don't usually do. It's not survival of the fittest, but survival of he who is most able to adapt. And look at this serve. I would love to see that serve again. The second bounce on that, it seemed to kick the other way. Not sure if we'll get a chance to, but wow, what a tricky serve, completely fooling Bob Chen.
And Wang Wei used a lot of those serves in his previous matches in the semifinals, especially when we saw.
That was the combination you talked about. Bring him into the table and attack, and Bob Chen had the right strategy, but still the pressure was strong. Outstanding hands from Wang Wei rushing into the table. And a timeout on the side of Bob Chen. Now, it is interesting, when you think about what just happened, he came rushing into the table and was able to play the ball with so much control. When you're moving that fast, it's easy to be taken over by your body weight, just sort of like a train that's on the loose. I think we've seen it, you know, Waldner, there was an exhibition point, him versus Persson, where he comes running into the table after a drop shot and drops it for 2 bounces on the table while running at full speed. Don't forget, you can connect with us. Stay connected with the table tennis world at USA Table Tennis. All the info on screen for Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. A lot of fun stuff coming up. The table tennis world definitely developing in the United States, as you can see in this packed, beautiful arena in one of the most exciting cities, maybe the most exciting city on the planet. And this is the big draw. This is why we get the Chung Yi-Chings. We've got world rank number 7 who is here. Eliminated on the women's side of the draw, we've got Kenji Matsudaira, but it comes down to these 2 players, Wang Wei and Bob Chen, to see who's going to take the title.
Yeah, and a great initiative by USA Table Tennis to, you know, bring in this entertainment factor into the sport of table tennis. You know, kind of pumping up a different setting. You know, so interesting for even the players to play in a different setting altogether.
I'm very hopeful. I think the team of leadership that we have right now couldn't be better for the sport. It's just really moving in the right direction. More and more pressure. Wang Wei accelerating that racket. Again, covering the middle, but he loads it with topspin. So when it's off the table, it drives Bob Chen back and keeps the pressure on. Look at from the side how deep on the table these balls are bouncing, then kicking away. It's so important when you get that far from the table to keep the balls deep, to really limit the options for your opponent.
And that back and serve again from Wang Wei. I think that backhand serve is kind of deceptive, working brilliantly well. Changes the strategy for Bob Chen, because there's a change in the spin.
And once again, a backhand serve. This time it's actually going the other way. It's closer to the backhand serve we saw yesterday. 11-7. It's a 3-1 victory for Wang Wei to take revenge on Bob Chen. Neha, we could see a little bit of a role reversal. Look at some of the points that we just saw. I mean, there was so much movement and so much change here. The backhand serve we saw yesterday, he would come around almost like the strawberry receive. He would pull up and out to the forehand side, making the ball bend into Bob Chen's forehand.
And now bringing in the psychological factor, Bob Chen called in a timeout at 8-7, I believe it was.
I'm going to trust you on that.
Okay.
as you were saying.
Yeah, and but could not pull that game through. Is trailing 1-3 now in the game. I mean, big pressure for him at the moment.
Right, and we talked about champions. Adriana Diaz, the champion on the women's side, a perfect demonstration of it. But how people deal with pressure. There are many different ways to deal with pressure, but the three that stand out is you either crumble under pressure, you choke, you play at the same level and the pressure doesn't get to you, or you turn the energy and the nervous butterflies into a level of excitement and you thrive under pressure. This is what champions do. It's what Adriana Diaz did, and we'll see if Bob Chen can do the same thing to hold his record against Wang Wei. That bounce, the sound was quite interesting, but it stayed in. It's the first point of Game 5, and Wang Wei starting off on the right foot. Figuratively. Didn't see what foot he put down first. So many times that backhand spin shot. I think the first time Bob Chen tried it, it didn't work, but the last three, he spun and won the point outright.
Yeah, and Wang Wei wasn't quite ready for that backhand topspin, I believe, from Bob Chen.
Kicking serve this time, a little bit more topspin on it. The variation in that serve makes it so difficult to read because he's contacting the side, but he's got such a flexible wrist that sometimes he's breaking the wrist in a way to come just under the sort of equator on the ball, and other times he's pulling up just a little bit as well. Well placed right into the body again from Bob Chen.
Now really, Bob Chen needs to kind of explore both the courts wider on Wang Wei's. That topspin went deep onto Wang Wei's forehand, and that's one area probably he's not yet exploring.
Well, I think here's the backhand again. Once again, it's 5 for 5. Bob Chen's so successful with that confident backhand. Now, you mentioned playing wide to the forehand, and one thing Bob Chen is doing quite well is setting that up by playing the crossover point first to create the opening angle. Anything you can do to get Wang Wei slightly off balance, slightly out of position.
The cheer from the crowd.
Such a beautiful backhand chop, the way he just circles under the ball, loops up, just grazing it again. The short pips, the spectol that he's using on the backhand.
So deceptive, so hard to kind of understand what kind of spin he's imparting.
Right now, score-wise, Game 2 is the biggest struggle for Bob Chen. The last two have been closer, but still, Wang Wei quite in control here. And there's that Shiono forehand throwing, kicking ball. A little bit of side spin, enough to cause some trouble. Bob Chen, neither player has a timeout now, and it's real trouble for Bob Chen. If he doesn't take this game, it's over. This will create quite an interesting rivalry in the United States between these two top players here.
And that's fun, to have such rivalries.
For us, yes. As spectators, it's a ton of fun. For them, it's like What is it? There'd be no Batman without a Joker? They need each other to pressure each other to really improve. And I see this with the best players in the world too. If you're the strongest player in your country by a lot, it's tough. You have to go somewhere else to find people that really push you to make you keep improving to get to the next level. Hugo Calderano playing overseas. Adriana Diaz went to China. I believe that was in, let's see, in 2008 was her first time training internationally. She went to Chengdu, China. Both of these players had plenty of experience playing in China, provincial teams and whatnot.
Bob Chen really getting into the grip of the game from 3-5, trailing 3-5 to now leading ahead at 6-5. Really kind of he's, become more softer and kind of keeping the balls on the table, really selecting the right ball to attack. Probably not this one.
Well, he's had trouble with that shot every time. Whenever Wang Wei gets the forehand in with that extra bit of side spin, it's been difficult. Naturally, it would be. The ball's kicking so much, it's deep on the table. Bob Chen, with his timing yesterday against Takuya Jin, was able to take these balls, but I think they were arcing up just a little bit higher, giving him more of an angle down on the table. Slipping in the backcourt. You could hear the gasp in the crowd, and he still almost got back. He got a racket on it. How far he is from the table here, and that's the slip, like a double slip.
Brave move though, despite of slipping, he still made that effort to go flex his muscles, reach there to at least attempt.
Remember, he is 32 years old. When you talk about pulling hamstrings, hyperextension, it's points like this with a little bit of slip. Makes it tough for the muscles to hold together. We saw a point with Kenji Matsudaira down on the ground making a shot yesterday, or maybe it was the day before, but he had slipped to the ground. Such impressive athleticism, and Timo Boll is known for this. I mean, you see sometimes shots from the ground where the players are quickly back up and are able to capture and seize the points.
And it comes a lot from mentally, mentally you're so strong that you don't want to give up. You want to keep fighting hard, so you do whatever it takes to get that ball back.
Once again, the backhand. Bob Chen right now on fire with that backhand. Think anything he can do to get the opening with the backhand topspin. It's so uncomfortable. Wang Wei just hasn't been able to really read how much spin is on it. That's the first backhand we've seen come back. I have to say I'm actually impressed, despite Bob Chen not winning the point. He had a very spinny ball off that high one on the back end of the table. Many players would be tempted to flat hit it and hit it either into the net or off the table. But a controlled play from Bob Chen, as you mentioned, tied up at 8 points each here, the fifth game.
Agreed, and he covered the table well, short on the forehand, long on the backhand, really exploiting the entire court.
Missed contact, and Wang Wei back in the lead, 2 points away from taking the men's championship. Reverse pendulum for a point. Hadn't seen that in a while. Short to the forehand side. Crowd getting into it a bit. Some of the ICC fans and family. Again, it's a big family over there. Wow, look at this. It's going to be 2 points that determine who wins this game and potentially who wins the match.
9-9 is such a thrilling, situation. My heart is pounding out of my chest.
Literally?
Literally.
Disgusting. Bob Chen with a huge point. He's keeping his heart in his chest no matter how hard it's pounding. And look at this, the ICC fans. We've got a game point for Bob Chen. But it's Wang Wei with the serve against game point. The backhand's been trouble for Bob Chen. What's it going to be? right back in near the net. Deadly short pips attack. Left up just a little bit too high and absolutely punished by Wang Wei with the spanking backhand. And this is anticipation too. You hit a great chop, you see that the opponent, the attacker, has got the open racket, you come right back into the table just in case. So deuce in game 5, Bob Chen with the serve. The crushing shot keeps Wang Wei back against the barrier. We've got another game point. Bob Chen with so much power here. That ball just a bit too shallow for Wang Wei to really control. Typically, once the lobbing comes in, it's going to be deep, and he tries to get the next ball deep, but the angle was taken. Bob Chen looking to extend this match and take it to a game 6, and ultimately a game 7 if he wants to win. Once again, such anticipation and such fast footwork from the 32-year-old defensive specialist, Wang Wei. He's right there. Let's look at this one more time. Spinny shot, again into the body, but it's a little shallow on the table, not as heavy as Bob Chen thought. So deadly in that attacking game, Wang Wei. Surprise serve. Talk about it, Neha.
Oh my God, I actually thought it was a reverse pendulum shot on his forehand side, but it was a surprise back and lung.
You know, I've seen this from Mark Kaczynski, and he completely fools Wang Wei right there. He does the exact same motion. This is the importance of having the same motion for very different serves. You're right, it looked like a reverse pendulum, but was a traditional pendulum long to the backhand. Game point again for Bob Chen. The patience, this is the question. It's tempting when you see you're right there this close to the finish line. You've got game points, a ball left for you. He anticipates well here for the block. Not a bad shot selection.
Moves pretty well, you know, from the backhand, deep onto the forehand, blocks the ball, comes, runs back to the backhand side, turns around, but probably too early to... Not this time, probably.
The serve is so impressive. Again, for a long serve to not have much topspin. Again, to keep it that deep on the table with mostly side, it's driven into the net. And he stops right at the point of contact, which makes it very difficult to read. When you're practicing your serves at the amateur level, you'll see players that follow through with a very predictable pattern. Not out here. Bob Chen, 4th game point. Top of the net now. You know, the last 2 backhands Bob Chen has taken did not win him the point. They didn't lose in the point either. It was just that Wang Wei stayed in the rally.
Now, mentally, it's, I don't know, it's so frustrating probably that you're up by that game point, but you're not able to convert it.
That was an awkward ball. We got the apology. I think it contacted the top edge of the racket, but still an outstanding exchange in this counter loop rally. And it changes things up a bit. Even though Wang Wei might have been aiming there, the rotation on the ball is going to be a little bit different when it contacts the edge of the racket rather than the smooth surface on the face. And now it's championship point, title point for Wang Wei. And the receive goes long. The defender gets revenge. 32-year-old Wang Wei with short pips on the backhand comes out to the U.S. Open and takes down Bob Chen. An undefeated performance by Wang Wei. Hands in the air, and the crowd loves it. A defender takes the title. Defensive players and table tennis fans around the world will be thrilled to see such a performance. And despite it being a 4-1 victory, the quality of points and the tactics being tested out here made for an outstanding show. So 2 matches back-to-back that were quite thrilling. Adriana Diaz and Wang Wei taking the titles at the 2016 U.S. Open. I've got a funny feeling this is a tournament that we will be seeing more and more international stars coming to impress in such beautiful venues, Neha.
I agree, and it cannot get better. What a venue. What two amazing matches we have seen. Adriana Diaz and Wang Wei winning these amazing, incredible titles out here.
And he's so fast. We saw all the footwork. We talked about youth versus experience. At 32 years old, as fast as anybody we've seen, staying in great shape. You know, people who don't know table tennis as we do as a sport want to know why you need to be so physical, why you want to be so strong, why working out is so important. I think Wang Wei clearly demonstrates the importance of being physically fit, agile, and of course, as we talked about, mentally as strong as can be.
And his style of play, being a chopper, he needs that extra athleticism, he needs that extra endurance and agility in his body, because just for the fact that he's a chopper. So he's done a brilliant display of table tennis out here in Las Vegas.
It's very exciting to see a chopper at the top of the game. You saw Ho Ying Chao here, wasn't able to take it. After many years on the Chinese national team, we've got a provincial player in the United States here who takes the U.S. Open, coming from China over Bob Chen of ICC. I know we're going to have a live on-court interview with Ryan Willard in a little bit, so you'll have a chance to hear a few words from our champion.
He's here to present our runner-up and finalist. Please give a warm round of applause for an amazing match from my man, Bob Chen.
Should we stay?
And now, please give a warm round of applause to the U.S. Open champion, Wang Wei! Okay, so I'm with Wang Wei right now. Wang, what was your strategy going into this match, and how did you adjust during the match to Bob's style?
你比赛前做了一些什么准备？然后比赛中做了一些什么调整？
比赛前看了一下，因为之前跟他打过一次，然后上一次输给他了，然后就是看了一下比赛的录像，完了之后从当中找一些失败的原因，然后比赛当中就刚开始打的有点着急，后边就是自己打的稍稳一点，还可以。
We've played before one time, and before the match, we watched some videos, and he did some preparations. In the beginning, he was a little rushed, but he played more.
Now, I'm curious, when you're in the middle of a match that intense, so many fans all around, how do you find that consistency to calm down and change the game?
观众那么多，比赛这么赶，自己怎么能够稳住
刚开始还是有一些心情，然后第一局就是有点心情过了，然后后边慢慢稳一点，然后后边
In the beginning, I was a little rushed, but by the end, I became more calm and more consistent.
Right. And so, Wang, is there anything that you want to say to your fans back home and where you train and everyone who has been following you through your journey on this?
有什么要跟你粉丝们说的？
感谢大家 ，Thank you very much for forever. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Congratulations again on a hard-fought match. And thank you all so much for coming to join us at the 2016 U.S. Open live here in Las Vegas. I'm Ryan Willard, and we'll see you all soon. Take care. Thank you.
So there you have it, an exciting day of thrills, spins, athleticism, and new champions here at the 2016 U.S. Open. An outstanding performance, Adriana Diaz. Wang Wei, our defensive specialist. I've had an outstanding time. It's been a thrilling day. Neha, what more can we say, right?
I agree. I think we have experienced the best of the table tennis we could ever see, especially in the men's side. I mean, a classic chopper versus an attacker game, and in the women's side, those brilliant and very fast backhand-to-backhand counters and smashes from the forehand. So amazing, great display of table tennis out here.
And with the emotions flowing, the champions will celebrate and enjoy a night in Vegas with their family and friends. We hope you can join us at the next major tournament as well, and don't forget to stay connected with USATT on all the social media. Make sure that you keep yourself in the know to know what's happening, how you can play more, improve your game, and be a part of the action. It's been an outstanding tournament. I'm Adam Babro.
And I'm Neha Agarwal.
Don't forget, drive safely, pong responsibly, and we look forward to having you back soon. Good night, everybody.